Tom Reddy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Dave. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Thank you so much for joining us today on this fine Monday. I hope it's nice where you're at.
Oh, it is beautiful weather. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is a nice place to be this time of year.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to get together with you today. My goodness, I watched that video and to be part of the company of all those great presenters that you've had over the time. Gosh, I'm humbled.
Well,
thank,
well,
thank you.
well, no, thank you. I'm humbled that you want to be on. I mean, it's so much fun just educating everybody on all the different offsite solutions and what people are doing. The innovative products that are out there today, and the fact that Synergy Steel wants to be a part of today. And we have Brian and Michael Ignema. They're going to get me on that. I think I got it right though. They're going to be joining us here soon as well. Tom, tell us. I'm gonna get your PowerPoint loaded up here in a second, but just for everybody out there, Tom, you and I met through the Building Systems Council. We were on a tour at a factory you were at with Howick, right? Because Howick had the machine there, and that's how you and I first, got introduced. And since then, we've had quite a bit of back and forth conversation, and really, I've learned so much about Synergy Steel, the product, the light steel gauge fabrication that you're doing, and these huge neighborhoods that you guys are building out of your manufacturing plant. And I think it's absolutely just such a perfect fit. One, because this is going to be a cross of an expert interview and a product spotlight, because you guys are leading the way in this type of fabrication and construction. And it's going to be a lot of fun to get into this. So without further ado, everybody, if you're just joining us, we have Tom Reddy from Synergy Steel on live right here on Dave Cooper today, right now, sitting in front of you. Please hit that like and share button. We're going to be answering questions the whole way through. We are live, Tom, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So you're getting your way around the social media network pretty quick today.
That's fantastic. It's a lot of that comes from you and what you're building for us, Dave. We really appreciate it. It's definitely a help.
I love it. So I'm going to start loading this up. Why don't you give us kind of a quick, brief background, and then we got Brian and Michael. They're going to join us, and we'll bring them in. Two brothers. I love it. I love it when family works together. This world is made up of small business, right? And family, small business. And I think it's super cool. So why don't you give us your overview, your background, and then we'll bring Brian and Michael in.
Sure. Spent a lot of time in the consulting field, helping businesses become better at what they do. Really schedule attainment, schedule credibility, and cost reduction. Met Brian and Michael's father many years ago, and had a lot of fun working through some lean concepts and lean techniques throughout the industry. Have been involved in building products and project management of those for a better part of 20 years. And I'm excited to bring some of the concepts that we've established over the years and have proven to be successful to your audience, to the folks out there, and talk about how we blend the lean thinking into manufacturing through technology and BIM and Rivet and those kind of things in the Synergy Steel environment.
Yeah. Love it. All right. So should we bring in Brian and Michael? What do you think? Or should we let them hang out and behind the scenes a little one?
They're probably chomping at the bit, so we better bring them in, I think.
All right. Perfect. I'm going to change our view so we can have everybody. Hey, Brian and Michael, thank you so much for joining us. How you guys doing?
Terrific. And thanks for having us. And I'll echo Tom's comments. Tom, you're exactly right. Dave, can't thank you enough for promoting offsite construction. What you're doing is fabulous for the industry and bringing awareness. So thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. You guys are part of the industry. You support our industries. You support all the the groups that support our industries, and we'll get into those probably a little bit later. So Brian and Michael, you guys are brothers. You're working together. Synergy Steel. You have well over 100 employees working in this company. So you have a lot of responsibility, and you have a really cool product. Can you guys give us your background on how this all came about, and then we'll jump into exactly what it is you're doing?
Sure. Well, although I'll take credit for being the older brother by 3 years, this is actually Michael's vision. Michael started a wood framing business back in 2004, so we have a lot of experience in framing in general. 2015, 2016, Michael said, I want to make a big transition in our framing operation. And I said, okay, tell me more about that. He said, I want to switch from doing everything out of stick build wood or wood panelization and move towards light gauge steel panelization. I said, well, that's an interesting concept. And I said, where did you kind of, learn about this? He said, well, the last 2 years, I've been studying what's happening in Australia and New Zealand and UK, and just think there's a better way of doing something. I want to bring it to the United States. And I said, okay, well, that sounds terrific, but how much more expensive are we going to be, in the marketplace? At the time, I was working for a very, well-run national production home building firm, and sitting in that position, if someone came to us with the new mousetrap and said, we got this great product, we're only going to be 30% more, the meeting would probably end pretty abruptly. So Michael said, nope, I got that part figured out. Not only are we going to provide the turnkey labor side of the business, but we're also going to get into the manufacturing side of the business. So as Tom mentioned, he's referenced lean manufacturing and lean construction. And that's really what has developed into our name, Synergy Steel. We're bringing different components, different parts and pieces together from lean manufacturing, lean construction, from the design and technology side, which quite honestly is the most important aspect of our business and what truly separates us, doing everything through BIM modeling, where we're building the structure twice. We're building it virtually, and we're actually building it again at the job site. So it's really been an evolution from our wood framing business, wood panelization business that has bled into the creation of Synergy Steel, which studied the marketplace for about 2 years, 2016, 2018, and then in 2018, we launched a business. It's a family of companies. Synergy Steel is our parent company that has 3 subsidiaries: Synergy Manufacturing, which does all of our manufacturing located here in the Carolinas; Synergy Construction, which does all of our field installation, that turnkey aspect; and then Syntech, which is our Synergy Technology office located in Uptown Charlotte. That office is growing very rapidly, and those folks are dedicated to our clients in converting 2-dimensional drawings to 3-dimensional virtual models. So very excited in about an 18-month period of time, very calculated growth, and very excited to have a backlog that takes us out for the next 24 months of roughly about 5,000 units that covers multifamily, hotels, assisted living, college dormitories, and a big focus obviously on residential.
Great. So a lot then. So you're looking at, we went over this a little earlier. You got the manufacturing, you got the turnkey construction, and you have Syntech, right? Which is the virtual design platform that you are using to build it twice, right? You're building it once virtually, and then you're building it again. Real quick in the Syntech, and Tom, maybe it's part of your presentation, but is that a tool that you guys have developed yourself?
Yeah,
good.
It's a little bit of both. Absolutely. Everything that we do is all done through the Revit platform. To us, the only way to build is 3D.
Sure.
So we use about 6 different software programs. Yeah, we developed probably 2 on our own. We use a lot of Dynamo scripts. Very big advocates of StructSoft, who handles all of our MWF platform work behind the scenes. So from the Revit platform, we're using StructSoft, MWF, a lot of Dynamo scripts that a lot of our guys are coding behind the scenes, and virtually, and then into our MEP platform as well. We're all about proper planning, so we can truly determine all those conflicts and clashes up front. So yeah, it's the only way to build is to truly virtually build it before you construct it.
Love it. All right. So I guess we're going to see some of that. Is that right, Tom? You're going to walk us through everything here?
That's correct.
Let me pull this up, and you ready to jump into this?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. We're going to pull it up right now. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Perfect. So there you go, Tom. Take us away, and I'll flip through as we go.
So Synergy Steel, as we talked a little bit about the blending of lean techniques into BIM 360, Revit modeling and technology, and push those same techniques out into the manufacturing floor. inside the Synergy Steel factory in Lancaster, South Carolina, and then eventually, and as an end result, into the field where we do the installation in the field. Let's talk a second about some of the lean concepts. Lean basically is a push to eliminate waste. Waste can come in this industry in many different forms, from waiting for materials to the wrong materials being delivered to rework, redundancy, duplication of efforts. It can also come from people standing around waiting to have a piece of machinery available, a crane or so on. So what we've done is we've taken each step of the full build cycle and we've looked at it through a microscope and started to squeeze out some of that waste or some of the lost time that exists there. In our design, engineering, and MEP coordination efforts, we're able to really take a look at each one of those segments and detail out the best coordinated way to efficiently build a building. We do that by taking a 2D drawing and converting that 2D drawing into a 3D model inside the Rivet software, and then simulate the entire build from foundation through completion of the roof system. While we do that, we identify any obstructions that might exist. We identify the coordinated efforts between each one of the craft so that we don't have people bumping into each other out in the field, slowing things down, creating questions. And some of the byproducts of this would be a more clean manufacturing and construction environment, which leads to a better, safe environment to have our workers working within. And that is very important to have all of our workers go home to their families at the end of every day, safe and secure. It also helps with insurance. It helps with dumpster fees. It helps with a multitude of areas that we can get better at when we're out in the build cycle. So we push those concepts from inception through completion of the project. You can move to the next slide, Dave.
All right.
So our process takes on several steps. First step, that when we get involved with any developer, general contractor, builder, is we look to have them submit plans to our Rivet development team. That's where the Syntec guys take those plans and really start to convert them in from basic 2D plans to the 3D Rivet panelized drawings. And you can see an example of that right there on the screen. Good. We can move to the next one. You can see it here in a drawing of a constructed building. So it kind of gives you an idea that we're getting into each and every one of the segments of the job build, and it also identifies any of the potential, we'll say, uniqueness of the design that we're working with. Go ahead to the next one, Dave. So you can see how it gives you a better picture or a more elaborate picture of where there could be concerns, issues, obstructions out there in the field. In addition to being able to put the whole framing piece together, we're also able to identify how many feet of wire you need, how much plumbing you need, how many angles you need in an HVAC system. It helps us identify more straight runs in the ventilation system. And it also gives us, to very tight specifications, the ability to manufacture steel studs from the 16 gauge to 20 gauge, multiple sizes based on what the specifications are. It gives us that precision to be able to put holes in those studs exactly where you want to be hanging your electrical boxes, where you want to be needing supports for any of your plumbing needs, where you need supports for cabinetry that you're going to be hanging, so that when your guys are out there in the field doing the actual installation of cabinets, so to speak, they don't have to guess on where those cross segment supports are. They will be where they're supposed to be, based on the size of cabinetry that's already built into the to the drawings.
So, Tom, just to clarify on that, if I may, so what you're saying is when you guys are building your light gauge steel framing, the computer system is going to tell that particular portion of the floor cassette, wall cassette, ceiling cassette, whatever it is, exactly where there should be additional framing or wiring holes or plumbing locations. So it is a straight run all the way across?
That is correct. It puts in that detail into the design up front, and that's why we spend a lot of time, and that's why, as Mike and Brian were mentioning, we're building that Syntec division from 12 or 15 today to, we want to get in the numbers of 40 or 50, so that we can get that pre-planning done in grave detail up front, so that we can be assured that when people are in the field putting things up on the walls or what have you. And I mean, just had a meeting last week with a company that makes hospital rooms, and the cross members and the supports that go into that type of a build is very intricate and very detailed. And so we're looking forward to being able to put our Syntec group into that and get their hands into that, so that they can help design the manufacturing steps, so that we can have that built into the walls before they leave the factory.
Yeah, I love it. I bet your plumbers and electricians love not being carpenters on your job sites.
I think Mike has a lot more experience in seeing that kind of thing happen than I do, but I'm sure I can see him smiling. I'm sure that's true.
All right. Next slide.
Yeah, next slide, please. So this is a pre-construction meeting example. This is where we collaborate with the builders and general contractors, and in some cases, the superintendents of each one of the trades, to really go through in detail the actual build from start to finish. This is where we'll put the 3D model together and simulate that entire build. And it takes in a very broad wealth of knowledge and wisdom that comes from these guys. And every one of these sessions that I sit in on, I learn more each time I sit in on them. And what's really cool about it is people bring and come into these collaboration sessions, and they bring their knowledge base, and it's great being able to share that, because it crosses multiple organizations.
Yeah, for sure.
We can go to the next one. This is where we get involved in some of the HVAC layouts. Some of the more detailed things we're doing here is we're identifying how to most efficiently put in the ventilation system, and that would be to reduce or eliminate any of the 90-degree angles. It would also help reduce and eliminate any of the obstructions. So maybe we have to move some of the HVAC system itself to other locations in the ceiling of the floors, so that we can get straighter runs, and in the long run make it a much more efficient build for our HVAC folks. Go to the next one. And the next one shows a little bit of the HVAC product, where we're pushing out hot air, bringing back in cold returns, and how we indicate where those will be run and where they'll be coordinated through.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing where technology has come, right, guys? I mean, think about this. You're designing whole structures, and if that's that same building I saw earlier, what is it, 12, 15 units right there, and you're not only laying out the steel stud, light gauge steel stud fabrication, but you guys are also laying out all the MEPs as well, and the exact size of those MEPs and the runs and everything that's going into this based on your, I'm assuming, your trade meetings and getting together with the mechanical contractors to run those loads, and then you design that into the software. Yeah,
that is correct, Dave. We can go as far as the client wants, from material takeoffs from the MEP standpoint, just to make sure they're getting the most cost-effective bids out there as well. So we can use that as an advantage point for them as well. But, to us, people want to look at us classified as a system. We're really not a system. We want to customize our walls to you. Yes, we have our standard service holes, but we want to find the most efficient way to build. We still build structures, 100 years ago the same way we do today, which is just mind-boggling. So the biggest focus when we really made the switch is you look at skilled labor shortage. And to your question, it's not only the skilled labor shortage from the carpentry standpoint, but it's a skilled labor shortage all the way through from the MEP standpoint. So to us, we're just big advocates of being as efficient for the carpentry side, for the framing, as for the MEPs. And that's what we really want to conduct as meetings and get your phase specifications, exactly the height, light switches, where you want your water and cold supply lines, so we can put those in there so everybody has a run. So instead of 90% of the industry out there, that's why we're such big advocates of all off-site construction, is there's no planning up front. So when the electricians get there and they look at the project manager and go, well, where do you want to start? And the first 7 days, are drilling holes in multifamily instead of just getting in there, know where your runs are going to be, putting your grommets in, and you're going to town. And the next thing you know, you're just saving countless hours, days under construction. So it's just, to us, it's the only way to go is off-site, but not even off-site, but just truly properly planning the carpentry with the MEP. And there's really no better phase of construction to organize the MEPs than the structure. Because once the structure's up and the MEP contractors come in there, that's when the conflicts and all the clashes are going to come into play. We want to know up front if there's going to be a steel structure there, if there's going to be an LVL or a structural red iron beam or HSS. We want to know those issues up front, because when you get to the field, it's too late. And then the next thing you know, you got back charges, here comes re-engineering, and days under construction just stop. So, and the interest clock never stops ticking. So right. We want to iron those out up front.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, that's the whole beauty of it, right?
No job's ever perfect, but if we can get 90% of those conflicts up front, that's the end game.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Perfect. All right, Tom, let's go.
All right, we can move to the next slide, Dave.
Look at that.
This is a great example of where you can see some of the support structures for your water lines and your faucets, where you can see the holes already punched through, cross members and vertical studs for your electrical cable and everything else, and then also how we're working in the HVAC through the structure on the far right. And one of the things I also wanted to talk about was how we train our people. We're hiring and training people all the time, and one of the things that both Mike and Brian have near and dear to their heart is the Synergy Steel University. The Synergy Steel University is about a 6-week course that each one of our employees go through, where we start with safety and job site PPE and how to conduct yourself at a job site, all the way through to actually building a building. So we take them through the training, teach them how to read blueprints, to walk them through all the critical pieces of manufacturing. And ultimately, on our 11-acre plot of land, we have a couple pads built in the back of the building, back of the factory, where we ship out to those locations exactly how we would ship to a job site. And the team of new recruits, along with the managers, will build an actual building in the back of our factory. This helps them be very acclimated to the hand tools that they'll be using, the potential job site requirements that they're going to need on the job, and be able to understand and take direction on how to put things together out in the field, the way our product's marked when it comes off the crane. All those pieces are in place out there right in our backyard prior to any of our guys going out to the field and being exposed to the customer site.
Is there any requirements to go through your training?
You need to be right now. You have to be one of our employees.
All right,
that would be the first one.
Okay.
But different positions that they're holding, it requires different, I'll say, academic requirements or levels. So depending on where they fall in the system, there will be some adjustment to their curriculum that they'll go through. But for the most part, there's nothing special. It's sort of a on the job training and development type plan.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's great. Not everybody does it, so that's great.
We've gotten a lot of requests from folks to see if we could take that to other locations and teach their people, but we haven't. We want to be really good at what we're really good at. So we're not going to take that outside yet.
Love it. Love it. All right.
Good. We can move to the next one. This one shows, sometimes you get out in the field and things aren't the way they are expected. We have ways to work around some of those concerns, and in our pre-manufacturing meetings, we're covering these and making sure that none of these types of obstructions get in our way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can go to the next one. We have agreements with several U.S.-based steel manufacturing companies. We're getting cold rolled galvanized steel, slit to specific widths and depending on the widths, help are what drives our profiles, our sizes, 2x6s. Some of them are 3 5/8, some of them 3 1/2. And we have the machines in-house set up to be able to receive the steel and produce the product. You can see on the lower picture there, you can see one of the machines pumping out, looks like 2x4s to me, probably 3 and 3 1/2 inches.
Yeah, and we actually did a tour on this in a video not too long ago, and you were there as well. I mean, that's just absolutely awesome that you can print these things, and I know you're going to get into it later, so I'm not going to give it away. But I just think it's amazing. I was putting those things together myself, just from coming out of the machine and laying them out, And I by no means, even though I'm from Pittsburgh, have any steel history in my life other than my parents and grandparents. So it's a really cool process.
All right, we'll go to the next one. This gives you an idea of, based on after we've plugged in the through the Syntec technology company into the system, the build process on the Howick machines helps us develop and push out to the floor the shop drawings. These shop drawings are part of the Synergy Steel University and what we take our people through to learn and understand how to read. But they put those out on the floor so that they can manufacture based on what comes off the line. Now, remember, too, that the system's all set up and automated in a way that it will produce the next piece of metal that is needed to go on the structure. So you don't have to second guess what's coming off the line. Each of the workers know exactly the next piece coming off the line is going to this location and is going to be attached to these two cross members. It's very systematic in how it produces the end results.
Love it.
Okay, we can move. This one is near and dear to my heart. It's part of the transportation process. And what we do here is a last on, first off method of stacking our trailers and our trucks, so that when this thing arrives at the job site, the first piece of material that comes off of this truck is going to be the first piece of material that gets mounted onto the structure, whether it be mounted to the foundation, or if we're working on a second floor, mounted onto the floor system of the first, or the ceiling system of the first floor. So it's a very systematic way of stacking material onto trucks and putting them into a position where it's easy to get them off once we get to the job site and they go right to the location where they're needed.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it keeps the job moving. And this one here shows that, we walk down every job, we identify out there on location where we're going to park our trucks, where we're going to have our cranes up, what's the most logical place to put these things to help the segment of the build that we're in. And on some of the larger jobs, that moves, but it moves on an infrequent basis, and it's strategic where we locate each move. And those are the kind of things that really get talked about and addressed all in the pre-production meeting. And so when you think about it, the entire build's done before we even start cutting the first piece of metal. Our turnkey, go ahead.
So, I mean, I'm listening to you, but it's all systematized. So from the design all the way up front through the manufacturing of the product to how you load the truck to where those trucks are going to drop that load off at the job site, based upon I'm assuming crane reach, crane location, things of that nature, and that's all done in pre-planning with your pre-construction meetings. Correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
Love it. Great.
And then our last two steps is turnkey framing and project management. The turnkey framing, that's basically saying we can do anything from producing metal and shipping metal to you to the turnkey framing solution, which is to have our installers out on the job, installing and building the building. And our project management team, each one of our projects have a team out there that take care of the workers, take care of the customer, make sure our schedule is being hit as anticipated. And I think that's something too that we really hang a lot on is we feel that schedule credibility and schedule attainment is very critical in this industry, because it not only builds credibility to the end customer, but it also makes for a very safe work environment. Because when people can do a pre-job brief at the beginning of a day, when a supervisor or a project manager can do a pre-job brief with a team of 20, 30, 40 people of his workers at the beginning of the day and say, here's the schedule, and it's consistent, and it happened the way it's been explained and planned out, it makes for a lot safer environment, because people aren't now trying to look around for what the next piece of work they're going to do, or they get assigned things that they're not accustomed to doing or not ready for. So we that helps keep our job sites safe. We can go to the next slide. So here we start talking about some of the benefits of steel. Some of the folks out there that have already transitioned to steel realize these. Some of the folks that have not, there are some major benefits. There's lower cost, and I think as we flip through these next maybe 3 or 4 slides, it might be just good to hit on the high topics, and then take a look. Quality and waste reduction. On our jobs, if we see more than 2% waste, it's surprising, and it's usually right around that 2%. And oh, by the way, that 2% is all reclaimable. And compare that to a normal stick build job, as we've known from the past working in that industry, and numbers going forward, there's anywhere from 25 to 28% waste. You can see the difference in what that means to the job site: cleanliness, safety, less roll-offs, and also just a better working environment for the employees. Also, you got your warranty and maintenance that's reduced, so you don't have the rot, you don't have bends, breaks, splits, cracks that you got to go back in later and fix. Mm-hmm. So, good. We can move to the next one.
No termites in the South. Is that what you're telling me?
That's right. They don't like steel too much, or at least they haven't figured out how to eat steel yet.
Love it.
Non-combustible. We really work hard at pushing this one, because you're in the senior centers where it's utterly important that if God forbid a fire happened in one of those locations, you need the extra time to get to help some of those folks move on out. So that's big with us. And there's your termite example right there,
there you go.
where we're definitely impervious to termites. Oh, we can move on to the next one. Moisture and mold's another one. You can see that, especially in the south, when you got the crazy weather down there. I think I just heard it's hurricane season, so this helps minimize any of the moisture and mold issues. And stronger, lighter, and more durable. You can see steel is roughly 30% stronger than wood, and does better for us there. Thank you. So that's a little bit about our reasons for looking at steel and really moving into the steel side of the business. A unique item here, and I'll let Mike pick up and talk a little bit more about this. But the unique item here that Synergy Steel has as an option, our factories in Lancaster, South Carolina. One of the things we deal with day in and day out is how to drive down transportation of our product to the job site. So what we found was that, if we have a big enough project, it makes sense for us to locate a piece of property, build a steel building on it, bring in our machines through containerization, and build that factory right near the location where the final product's being built. I think Mike might have some more input into that from his experiences down south. I can talk a little bit about one that we're looking at based on some of the activity we've seen up in the Northeast and in the Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania area.
Mm-hmm. So you guys are bringing the manufacturing to any job site out there, and you just really are just putting up either a steel warehouse to build this in. I would imagine if it's a production builder, you could probably use the inside of their rec center until the building's done and then convert the rec center, I would imagine, right?
To a certain degree, Dave, we want to look at the project. Obviously, like Tom said, as far as the location and the size of the project is first and foremost that we're going to have to look at, because obviously it's very expensive to bring one of our Aztec mobile units down there. But the biggest balance we want to try to find there is the transportation costs. Obviously, right. We're shipping off-site panels here. We're shipping air. And if we don't have any return trip coming back, that's where we're going to lose a lot of the cost. And if we can drive down that cost, we will. Obviously, we try to, our number right around 300 units, especially from the multifamily side, that we'll look to entertain bringing that factory down there, because obviously we lose a little bit of efficiencies compared to actually being inside one of our manufacturing facilities. So we want to make sure that we can be as efficient as possible. We have a very large project coming up in Florida. It's 880 units. Job site's 45 acres. So we're looking to have about a 3 to 5 acre site right there, depending on the pace and so forth, that we'll actually set up one of those Aztec buildings there.
I mean, I think that's awesome. That's really cool that you can be mobile like that. For sure. So let's as far as shipping these and getting this all set up, I mean, how are you guys doing right now? I mean, I think we were talking a little offline, and I mean, you do have a backlog, a big backlog, it sounds like.
That is correct. We're humbled. We're very fortunate that in less than a 24-month period of time that we're able to, secure a backlog that takes us out for the next 24 months. We're still taking on new business, but latest count was roughly about 5,000 units in backlog, which, as we discussed earlier in the conversation, a lot of multifamily units, residential, and really everything in between. So very humbled, very fortunate. But like Michael and Tom and yourself alluded to, there's always a way to evaluate each product and how do you continue to take cost out. So we're in very, very much an aggressive mode in opening up a second and third factory in Florida, which is where a lot of our business is currently coming from, where we can service, Atlanta, Georgia, Jacksonville, all the way down to the Florida coast. But as also mentioned previously, covering 7 or 8 states right now on the turnkey side, at times can be a challenge, but strategically locating these projects and working with strategic clients allows us to leverage some of these larger projects and be able to take on some smaller projects in those areas. So very fortunate, but at the same time, we want to be calculated in our growth. We've seen a lot of companies that just grow way too fast, and what actually happens is not always positive. So we're being very selective in the projects we're taking on, the geographies we're entering into, because we don't want to sacrifice our quality for volume. So it's a fine balance of making sure that we're taking on the right projects in the right areas and making sure that, we're delivering the results that our clients should be expecting from us.
Yeah, sure. Let's kind of jump into a little bit of the value outside of, Tom walked us through, all right, it's light gauge steel, it's lighter. The process is so much easier, on site, the way you guys are laying everything out and strategically placing all of the product. Let's talk cost. What are you seeing the difference in cost from your product from a wood product?
So when we talk about turnkey or even just material versus material, on average, a wood structure, whether it be a single-family detached home or a townhome or a multifamily complex, which we think the savings are even greater after we collect information, from our current clients. On average, we're 10 to 15% less than wood. That's direct materials and labor to materials and labor. There's other, as Tom mentioned throughout the presentation, there's other benefits, other cost savings that our clients pick up as well. There's roughly about an 18% insurance savings for the owner operators of the multifamily project, and also for the end homeowner as well. But there's all these other, what I'll call ancillary type savings where, our dumpster pulls on a typical house are 3 to 4 times. We're pulling those dumpsters. Most of the time it's the neighbors filling the dumpsters up. But in any case, we're not having to have a dumpster there day one. Our dumpster pulls have gone, from 4 dumpsters on a house to 1. So each dumpster pull of $300-400 really that adds up. We hear from our multifamily clients that they're running between $15,000 and $20,000 a month in dumpster fees. That's not the case with our product. And then, also bleeds into, less theft. Most of the theft is coming, quite honestly, internally from framing crews running out of material. Well, everything is kind of in a box. It's delivered to that job site. Everything's there. And you're not having to pull from lot 1 to take material to lot 2. From the MEP side, occasionally we will reap some benefits there when we have MEP contractors that, you walk them through the process and we work with their folks and we say, hey, first day, as Michael mentioned, you're not here drilling holes for 4 or 5 hours. That's going to save you, 2 guys at $15 an hour. And you do that times, a few hundred homes a year. Those shavings eventually make a pile. And so not only with the electricians drilling holes and mechanical folks trying to figure out their runs, all that is pre-planned for them. So they're saving time, they're saving material, and being a general contracting firm as well, without being selfish, we ask for a percentage of that back. So we're seeing our clients do the same thing. So on average, we tell folks as a blanket statement, we're 10 to 15%. In some cases, it might be less. Some cases may be more. And typically it's 200 to 300 other basis points that our clients are able to pick up with the other benefits I just mentioned.
So you're 10 to 15% less than wood, for the most part, like you said. I mean, there's some variables there. And you have, I think I heard you say, Tom, it was 2% or less is your waste on site. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand with offsite. It's not always just the direct cost. It's the indirect costs, right? It's the fact that the plumber and electrician aren't having to sit there and drill holes, right? That's a big deal. That's time and money for somebody that has to pay for the construction. There's dumpster costs. There's theft costs. And when you add all of this stuff up to include the value of what time and getting heads on beds does for somebody, it's a much bigger cost than what a lot of people think it is. And you're never going to figure it out just by saying, oh, well, your stud's this and my stud's this, so it's not cheaper. That's not necessarily the case. You agree with that?
That's 100% accurate, because we've been guilty of it ourselves for the last 20 years. You look at cost savings from, hey, here's what we can save, but at the same time, what are you losing, like you said, by reducing your construction cycle? If we can put together an entire multifamily project in 3 weeks versus 6 weeks or 9 weeks or 12 weeks, exactly to your point, you can get your tenants in sooner. You can get your guest in sooner. So there's that opportunistic cost that you're picking up because you're able to bring your product to the market faster and getting a return to you faster. So I think that's the big element that's always overlooked. A lot of our clients recognize that even if we were no cost savings whatsoever, wood versus steel, the fact that we can move through that construction cycle very confidently in 40% less time allows them to start getting to their returns a lot faster.
Yeah, sure. Let me ask you this as well. Because the product is light gauge and lighter, I'm assuming that the panels, when they're put together, is lighter than wood. So you have less labor needed to build each wall on site or put it in place. Is that a good statement?
Yes, we try to do as much in the factory as we possibly can. So in a lot of cases, we are sheathing the wall panels here. And for a lot of our larger clients, we're actually installing and drawing in the windows inside our factory as well. So when those exterior wall panels leave here, they're leaving fully sheathed as well as the windows installed. And now we've been asked by our clients, can we apply the liquid membrane on those panels as well, so that you're not having to apply that membrane 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories in the air. You're doing it in a controlled environment. At the same token, we're also moving in a lot of direction. If the project calls for it, not on every project can we do this, where you can actually, take your floor trusses and we'll build complete floor cassettes, inside the factory, as well as, there's a sample small roof panel there. If the pitches allow it and the floor system allows it, in a lot of cases, we'll build complete panels, whether it's a floor cassette or the roof cassette inside our factory as well. So, we're, huge props to, Jerry at Atekra, looking at what he's brought to the industry and brought to the United States. We're huge fans of what Jerry's been able to do with Atekra. And, we like to say that we're doing a lot of things similar. We're just doing it out of a different material. But there's a lot of good companies out there, whether it's out of wood, steel, concrete, or a different type of material. It really doesn't matter. It really comes back to the fact that the more we can do in a controlled environment, control the labor costs, control the material costs, control the process, regardless of the material, the end result's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a good point, because going through the presentation, people really need to understand that, yes, you manufacture the steel, you manufacture the panelized wall systems, but you guys will also put the sheathing on and install the windows like a true panelized manufacturer does at the site or at the manufacturing plant. So it's ready to go on the site. And you could take it as far as a client wants you to take it for the most part. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It really is awesome. So you mentioned Jerry. I don't know if you know, he was watching. He said, congrats, guys. Offsite construction is definitely the way for multifamily. And Jerry McCahey, I always love it when you tune in, because he is a leader in this on the wood side. He's really kind of doing the same thing you guys are doing. So great. I'm glad he jumped in. Well, why don't we look at let's bring the audience into some of this. I'm going to go through and just give a few shout outs here. I don't know who this is. They didn't put their name. Synergy Steel is in the house today. We have George Ryman. Good morning. Trying a different login platform. So George, good seeing you. It's kind of funny with George, guys. He really loves this stuff. He's always watching these things, and now I guess he's trying Facebook as opposed to LinkedIn. So thanks for joining, George. He's definitely a good person to connect with if you don't know George Ryman, for sure. Rick Hawkins. I don't know if you know Rick or not. Good morning, Dave and Tom. So, Tom, you know Rick?
Hey, Dave, I lost. I can't hear you. I'm trying to read your lips, bud.
Let's bring you back in. Can you hear me now?
I can hear Brian and Mike fine. I just can't hear you.
Yeah, we are connections of Rick Hawkins. He's a huge advocate and a big is.
For sure. Can you hear me now, Tom? Oh, man. Okay, can everybody hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
You got to love the glitch of live feeds. Like why that happens, I have no idea, but I'm glad you're back. All right, so Rick Hawkins, yeah, definitely is. Jennifer says, good morning, George Ryman. So here we go. George, I have completed an extensive study on prefabricated wood versus steel fabrication. Although the lumber option was historically 1% more economical, it varied with market conditions, and the risk of steel was much less. So thank you, George. Good comment. Peter C., what type of foundations do you use?
So we'll work with any type of foundations. I'd probably say, majority in the Southeast, obviously a lot are your mono slabs. the multifamily industry, obviously with the land being more expensive, we're starting to do a lot of podium style construction. So we're starting to do a lot of, 3 or 4 over 1 style podium constructions with post tension slabs. From the residential industry and townhomes, we'll work, obviously the mono slabs to crawl spaces and even into the basement. So we can work any type of foundation.
Great. And listen, if anybody has any follow-up questions, feel free to plug them whenever you can. Anthony Good, great presentation, guys. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
George Ryman, again, I love the hands-on training and valuable experience for all members of your team, helps them gain expert experience. I think this is a big deal, right? Because you guys are on the Northeast, right? You build up and down the East Coast, Pennsylvania, roughly down through Florida. The fact that you guys are out there training and really making sure that people know how to use your product from your team so it can be implemented in the field with accuracy and precision and safety, I think is a huge deal, right? Because workman comp and safety is a big deal these days. And I think that's just a very powerful thing that not everybody's doing. And that's why we're seeing the comments about it.
Yeah, and also to that Synergy Steel University that we created, because we knew it was going to be an education. Majority of the industry is from the wood side. So it was an education from different phase specifications for the subcontractors, mostly for the MEP trades and so forth. It might just be a different fastener and so forth. Obviously we do offer the turnkey framing, but we put that in there as well because, with the skilled labor shortage being out there, that not only will we offer the turnkey framing, but it's an option as well. So we can ship you material all throughout the United States. We'll always have a construction manager on the job site that will actually train your framers, and that might take a week. We try to really simplify that process and be very efficient on how the panel connections go. And if you're close enough to one of our factories where it can be hands-on training inside here. So not only from MEP education, but also if certain client builder has their own framers, we're more than glad to have our construction manager on site or bring them here to walk them through the process.
Let's take a moment and walk through this process while we have everybody's attention. I have a project, 5,000 units, let's say, whatever, a big project. How do I get started with you? What do I do? Like, who do I contact? How walk me through what the process would be?
I think I'll jump in there first. I'll definitely take a call from anybody that wants to build something and collect the correct information, talk a little bit about what we do in a little more detail, sort of get off on the introduction side, and then identify what the team needs to look like out of the Synergy Steel area. And then at that point, Mike or Brian, or sometimes both, will get involved with some of their key players from down in Lancaster, including the Syntec group out of Charlotte, and start to build the collaborative team of folks that are going to help put this put the pieces in place. At that point, schedule a meeting with the client and their team and get an introduction out of the way, and then carry it from there. I think I'll let Mike pick up, or Brian pick up, and talk more about the technical aspects of it, but that's kind of how we want to start it out.
No, that's exactly correct. So there's a discovery phase that we go through, as Tom mentioned, with our clients. And if we can't consciously add value to that project or to that client, we will tell them that we're not the best fit for that project. For that reason, we don't do any one-offs or any custom type projects and so forth. We want to work with clients that want us to be involved. And really at any stage, if it's a project they've built in the past, great. We're going to simply take their two-dimensional blueprints. We're going to help value engineer them. We're going to do some preliminary engineering analysis to make sure that we can add value and we can save them cost. Or if it's a new project that they're building for the first time, we want to be involved as early as we possibly can, working directly with our architect to be able to make their lives a little bit easier. Because if you're converting from wood to steel, that's for us, that's about a 45 to 60-day process. But in regards to what we need to actually evaluate that potential project to see if it's a good fit for the client and a good fit for us, is simply just provide us with your blueprints that have been conducted by and completed by your architect or your draftsman. And within, 10 to 14 days, we'll be, organizing a discovery meeting to make sure it's a good fit for us. We'll then go through a preliminary engineering analysis. There's no charge to our clients. We want to make sure, as I said, it's a good fit for them, a good fit for us. And then we'll provide you with a proposal, whether it's material only or if it's a complete turnkey proposal. And then from there, that's really when the more intense part starts, where we're very involved with our clients. As we said, that virtual process in working with all the subcontractors, the client itself, we have a lot of fun with it. There's these folks that run our Syntec office. They're unbelievable at what they do. I don't have the skill set or the patience probably to do it, but they do. And we just work hand in hand with our clients. And it doesn't matter if it's an existing project they want to reproduce and find a better way to do it or save cost, or if it's a brand new project, if they're just starting with a sketch on a napkin, that's probably the most ideal place to get us started, because if we can work hand in hand with their architect, their draftsman, and their purchasing estimating team, boy, that's the best of all worlds. We can all come together and do it right the first time, prototype that product, and get better the second, third, fourth, fifth time we actually build it. So, but to directly answer your question, Dave, it simply just starts with, a vision that they may have. And if they have blueprints, we take them two-dimensionally as a PDF set or as a DWG, and we'll go through an internal, discovery phase to see if we can add value and be a good fit.
Love it. Perfect. All right. I think that was a very thorough answer. Brent Musson, I know we answered this earlier, but maybe Brent missed it. Is that FrameCAD, he asked?
It is not FrameCAD. FrameCAD's a great company, great machine, but we have teamed up with Howick. Howick is our manufacturer of our machines.
Love it. Love it. All right. Joel Hutchinson, sorry I'm late to the party today. What do you mean you're late, Joel? Come on. I would love to hear you discuss the CAD/CAM process. Are you striving for early contractor involvement or redrawing the original intent? Do you find this to be an efficient process? Also, what machine are you using? Just answer that. Sorry if this has been addressed already.
So part of my answer before, I think, leads into this question as well. It is a very efficient process. We look at efficiency not just on the front end, but all the way throughout the entire process. Spending an extra 30 or 60 days in that upfront process will save months and months and months throughout the process once you're on site. As I mentioned, there's a lot of cases where folks will send us their CAD drawings as a DWG or even their Revit models. Not that we don't trust that work, but we're gonna redo them anyways. We're gonna start from scratch, just based off the software that we utilize, and make sure that it's down and to precision. But in regards to that, the efficiency, we think it's the only way, to go. So, there are situations where if folks are ready to go and they've already had their permits, it's one of those conversations we're always going to be upfront and transparent and say, hey, if you want to make the transition from wood to steel or a different type of material to steel, we're going to lay out that schedule and say this is going to take roughly, based on backlog, depending on the time frame, scope, etc., 45 to 60 days to do that. In a lot of cases, folks are going, absolutely, I will hit the pause button for 45 or 60 days if my plans are already done, to save months and months and months down the road on the construction side. In some cases, folks do not want to do that, and that's perfectly understandable, but we look at future projects with them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I mean, it's all about the pre-planning, right? That's where you're going to make up the time. I think Jerry said it best. He put a comment up here. The profit is in the process.
That's exactly right.
Good point, Jerry.
Exactly right.
Good point.
That guy always has something wise to say.
Smart.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple more comments here, fellas. Dave Cox. Hey, Dave. I went to school with you in NA, I guess. Congrats on your success. Live in Georgia now, looking to build. Well, if you're looking to build, these guys are an option for you, David. I'm not sure what you're doing,
Definitely.
but catch me offline. Maybe I can connect you guys. I hope all is well. And then Rick Hawkins, I'm going to give you the final comment today. Pre-construction meetings save money and conflicts, producing efficiency during erection, completion. Pound thumbs up. And I'm going to put that right back to Jerry, because that's exactly what it is. The profit is in the process. That's another hat. That's a T-shirt, Jerry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jerry,
Even his hats and T-shirts, right?
Trademark it.
Right.
Hat right there.
So, well, listen, guys. I mean, holy cow, we're over an hour already. We had quite a few people tuning in. If anybody has any questions, Tom, tell us how they get a hold of you.
Best way would be my email. It's
Whoop, let me put that up there. Go ahead, T.
TREDDY at synergysteelcorp.com.
Oh man, you can talk faster than I can type. I should have put that in. All right, tell me if I got it right.
Reddy at Synergy Steel. That's correct.
See that? And then if anybody wants to find any information on you guys or get in touch, synergysteelcorp.com is the website.
That's correct.
So who wants to take us out today? What's the final words of wisdom that we can hear from the Synergy Steel trio that we didn't touch on today that maybe you wanted to touch on?
I'll start the closing remarks, and if Mike or Tom or Dave want to put a period on the end of my sentence, feel free. But for clients, don't settle for status quo. Get uncomfortable. Try something that's been tried and true, but new maybe in your business. I can tell you, being general contractors, being in the wood framing business, for over 20 years, we moved our entire business from wood to steel, not so much wood to steel, but from stick built to panelization, and we don't regret it. So it's going to take some hard work and grinding it out in the beginning, but we absolutely promise you that you will receive the benefits, on your upcoming projects. But get uncomfortable, try something new, because I think truly this is the future.
Yeah, it really is. And Jerry said that thing's trademarked, and I couldn't agree with you more on this is the future. It's not a matter of if and when. I mean, it's happening now, fellas. I mean, it's the smarter way to build. I don't care if it's wood or steel, concrete, manufacturing and doing things in a more streamlined, lean process, less waste, more energy efficient, better safety is good for all of us. And in this technology, like you guys are using with these AutoCAD systems, these machines that are printing out steel studs, whether it's in a factory or on location, is what's going to help bring the youth back into this industry and give us some more quality, skilled, younger trades that we're all looking for. And I commend you for taking that on. And I also commend you and others out there that, you guys are putting people to work, and it sounds like you're growing and you're going to be looking for some more people and putting them to work. And right now, I think that's a big deal because there's a lot of people looking for work. And I think this is a really, really great application for everybody to jump in. So, Tom, it's always a pleasure, my friend. And I'm glad everybody here is from Pittsburgh, pound 412, right?
That's right. That's right, Dave.
Originally. Guys, just tell us where your locations are real quick so everybody knows.
So our factory is located in Lancaster, South Carolina. We have an 11-acre campus here. We have an entire house built inside our factory, so we do give tours. It also acts as our training center for Synergy Steel University, as well as the structures that we build outside our factory on our 11 acres. Lancaster, South Carolina is a small industrial manufacturing town, a lot of hardworking folks here. It is roughly about 50 minutes south of uptown Charlotte. Our Syntec office, which handles all of our design, engineering, professional services, that is actually located in the south end area of uptown Charlotte. So currently two locations.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, listen, guys, that's a wrap for today. I love it. Thank you so much for having you. Thanks so much for you guys coming on the show. Honestly, I know you guys appreciate being on here, but I appreciate it more. Really, the whole idea is to educate the world on what we're doing in offsite construction. You guys are doing a great job. I love that you're willing to share it. I love the fact that there's collaboration between wood and steel guys out there. Jerry supports you. You guys support Jerry. I'm a modular guy by trade and background. And I think as 4% of the industry, we all need to work together, collaborate together, change the way the codes are to make it easier for us to do our jobs and have a better way to build. So absolutely. I'm Dave Cooper, Pound Offsite Construction. Guys, I really appreciate it. Hang in there. We're going to catch up as soon as this really cool outro is over.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, great. Thanks so much.